East versus West 16 was one of a kind. By far, there is a lot of talk about who arm wrestled who, how they won. You know, some people got very upset at other competitors. You notice there's a lot of talk about referees and what they did or didn't call, and how most of the matches here, which I think is very interesting, most of them were complete shutouts. It was 3-0, 4-0, absolute domination by either one of the people who was arm wrestling. And I want to walk through number one, the entire results, just, walk through who won, by how much, and then I actually want to digest each individual match step by step and kind of give my 2 cents on what happened and my theory on why certain competitors won, from Devon to Hermes to you name it, because you'll notice that certain people did something a little bit different during their match that kind of gave them a little bit of leverage, I believe a little bit of leverage above who they're facing. So here's just a complete results walkthrough of East versus West 16, who arm wrestled, the kind of controversies, because there's a few different controversies going on right now. And yeah, I just want to give you a quick update on what's happening in the arm wrestling world. So first, let's go through who won and how many rounds, and I'll actually go through each match, or at least most of the matches, one by one. And thanks to Victor Cali Arm Wrestling, I figured instead of writing this all out, I'd just shout out another channel. I mean, that's the best thing you can do, right? Love arm wrestling. So we have Stoyan versus Vasily. Stoyan absolutely crushed. Brad Grundy versus Bacho. This was also a very interesting match. Brad, as well, destroyed Bacho. There wasn't much of a competition, if I remember right, as I'll go through. I believe Bacho just kept slipping, and there was a couple falls, and it just did not work out. We had Frank Lamparelli versus Serhii. And Serhii, look at all these. The amount of domination, 3-0. Alex Kurdecha versus Dadikyan. David won 3-0. Same with Malin versus Fia, which they have. I've looked at a lot of their content. They have such a good relationship, and it was a really fun, loving, great match. 4 to Fia. Fia won. She's now the first East versus West double hand champion, which shout out to Fia. Amazing job. Overall, the entire tournament was great sportsmanship overall. It went well. In the very beginning, there's a few different little hiccups with the recording, but otherwise, pretty great. We have Oleg versus Daniel. Oleg won 4-0. We have Oleg Petrenko versus Betkili. 4-0. It only changes at the bottom. Michael Todd versus Hermes, which there's a little bit of controversy around. And I think with both of them training and going so hard, it was just a very interesting, different match, but they both did their absolute best, went strong. Hermes won 3-0. Todd Hutchings versus Irakli, I think debatably one of the 3 best matches of the night for sure. They both put a lot into it. Absolutely. We have Devon Larrat versus Genadi, and Devon, oh my lord, he did not disappoint. He pulled through. You can tell that pregnant Devon, as we call him, he's being called, I guess. Devon, at the very last round too, he switched into a press. He was hooking, and then he pressed just right down. He's gotten a lot stronger with the size, even though I'm sure a lot of it's been fat gain, but the muscle gain must have also been incredible. Great sportsmanship there. Just the match went, it was both of them trying with the refs to get the best hand position, get the best, you name it. They both whined a bit, and, it was like a 20-minute match when it could have been maybe 5 or 3. But overall, I like the match as well. Vitaly versus Artem. This was, I think, probably the best match out of all of them, because it was the most back and forth. It was the most, both of them just going absolutely as hard as possible to push, and it just went great. It was the most competitive to me, the more competitive match. So it was just a really close, even 1-1 there, and Vasily won 4-2. And there was also a final, very strange last match situation with the Beast himself, which we'll get through in a second here. I just want to walk through this quick list of who won, so you know, okay, who out of these won and what kind of happened in each of them. Now, I'm going to show like an image from each scene in each match, but I'm not going to actually play the video throughout because I'm a firm believer that you should buy the pay-per-view or buy the recording or support the sport of arm wrestling. So you're going to see an image here, but I'm not going to share the whole entire match because to me that wouldn't be fair. Or at least it doesn't seem like it'd be fair to people who did buy it. That you didn't buy it, but you get to watch the whole thing right now anyways. And it's been like a day. So he pretty much just dominated Vasily pretty well. You know, like Vasily got 1 point, but overall, you know, winning one round, Stoyan just took the cake, was performing exceptionally well, seemed very strong, hooked in hard, and I think for him it was just a nice, great match. Wasn't really back and forth again. Most of these matches, the only weird thing with most of these matches, if not all of them really, except for a 3-4, was that it was all one-sided by usually a pretty big margin. So then we have, of course, Brad Grundy versus Bacho, and Bacho, same thing here, just absolutely wrecked, just absolutely destroyed. Brad was not really able to do much in most of these rounds. I think, I don't know if it's wrist, I don't know if it's bicep, what's doing the pulling or pushing that's really pushing one of the athletes to just outperform everyone, or, you know, not everyone, but their competitors so strongly, unlike the later matches, which is weird, but yeah, it was just a complete, total domination. There was quite a bit of a slipping and a little bit of following on Brad's side, but otherwise it was a good match. Just was kind of strange that this keeps happening over and over again. Next we have Serhii versus Frank, and Serhii, really, you can tell by the end of this match especially, was putting so much into this match. I mean, they both were. They both were going incredibly hard to win, but Serhii definitely pulled a lot better, and just, again, just like every other round almost of every other match, dominated completely. However, there is some, I'll talk about quickly, some of the controversy with some of these matches is the reffing, and it's hard to say because, you know, it's sports and it's live and there's no redos really. The reffing, I think and I would agree, I think in some of these matches the reffing could have been a little bit better. You know, not all of them, just there's probably 2-3 different situations where the reffing could have been a little bit better, or they could have made a call sooner. In one of the matches, there was a complete obvious elbow slip that was called out. Like, what is this? Or why aren't you calling it? I'm calling it. I'm the wrestler. But other than that, you know, I think the overall production, except for there was a couple spots in the beginning that were a little bit rough, just a few, you know, few second segments. Otherwise, overall, the production, the color schemes, the arm wrestlers themselves, everyone was very professional, and I think it was a great event. Fia versus Malin. Fia just absolutely took the cake right away. Immediately just had so much pressure and just dominated, and it was a really good fun because Fia and Malin, they have such a good relationship, and I think the arm wrestling community sees that, and in general they both have a really good spirit. They're both really loving, really good people. And just a big congrats to Fia for being the double arm champion and just doing a very, very good job. And both of them for having such amazing sportsmanship. Now, this is one of my favorite matches only because Oleg went above and beyond and completely dominated Daniel in the circumstance. He did an amazing job. Both did an amazing job. Everyone really does. But Oleg, as you watch the match, in most of these matches, the confidence of the winner just progresses and progresses. And you can see the worry, you can see the, oh no, look in the eyes of the person who isn't quite able to pull at the same level. And Oleg here as the match went on, regardless of what Daniel did or the refs, Oleg just knew he was going to win this. I think he did an amazing job. Now, this one, I think, is another amazing performance. Oleg Petrenko completely dominated Betkili, and there's some controversy on the reffing and on Betkili a little bit here, but in general, Oleg, same thing. Especially, I'll fast forward here a little bit, and we'll get to a point where he's 2-0 right now. Betkili kept following some, and just it wasn't going the best for him. But Oleg was getting, and is for a good reason, he was extremely confident. See if I can get a little snapshot somewhere in here. But he knew, and he was, just destroying, doing an absolutely amazing job. Just like every one of these matches, just crushing. Now we get the tensions going a little bit more with Michael Todd, the Monster, Shadow Brother, and Hermes, who I think had a really good match. I think the matches, even if they don't go amazing for any reason, I think having a lot of passion and even a little controversy is good, because having that energy is what drives the sport and drives people to watch. If every match was it wouldn't be the same. So Michael Todd lost here to Hermes, and I have a hypothesis. I think it's, again, don't take my opinion for anything, in the sport of arm wrestling, but in my opinion, he lasted long. In each of the polls they were doing, he lasted a really long time. So I don't think it was an endurance issue at all. I think Michael and Hermes are both obviously extremely strong. Both have great endurance. Both incredible, amazing arm wrestlers. But Michael Todd kept hitting the same move, same position, same everything every time. And I think Hermes knew this and was able to counteract it very, very, very well. You'll notice, however, I believe at the end of the match, I think a little bit of Michael Todd's endurance was showing on Hermes. There was a questionable fall or two and some issues. Either way you could debate. But in general, I think Michael Todd's endurance was showing. But I think because he kept hitting that same move in the same way, I think Hermes knew exactly how to counteract it. That's just my opinion. Shout out to both of them, and a great job to both. I think Michael, if he would have switched it up a little bit, I think it would have went in a little bit different direction. Now we have Todd Hutchings versus Irakli, and this was, again, debatably one of my favorite matches. Todd came out on top. They had an amazing, good. Todd was sweating like crazy. A lot of people were. It's a intense matches that are going on here. But in general, Todd just overperformed. Did a great job, I think, as well, switching style. Todd did a great job of switching style. Devon switched into a press, had a great job of switching his style, moving his hand a lot. And as well, in a lot of these matches, make sure you're watching for them gaining ground and moving up on the thumb and moving up on the hand. I think certain people did a really good job of that in the middle of the match that helped them perform better, and switching to a different style and switching to a different pressure helped a lot. The people who really dominated especially. So Todd Hutchings just took over, did an amazing, amazing job. Now, this was actually less even than I thought it was going to be. Devon versus Genadi, a rematch. Devon powered through, won, had complete control. The only issue and the little controversy around here is that getting them to actually arm wrestle took about, I think it was a 20 or 30 or 40 minute match. Like, it's a long time. They're both yelling, screaming. Genadi at one point pushes or slaps Devon on the side. And they're arguing with the refs, and they're going back and forth, just being crazy with one another. And I think it was a good match, though, because, again, it was passionate. They're both doing everything they can, but Devon just, in his weight gain, there was obviously a lot of muscle that was gained there. He, I think, overpowered, and then even in the last two rounds, also out-technique Genadi, especially the very last round. It seemed like, again, Devon has incredible endurance, great dexterity, but I think he was lightly losing some of that, but then he switched to a press and just, I would like to get a little screenshot of that in here. He switched to a press and just crushed Genadi. I think, again, they both did a really good job. They both had great sportsmanship, especially at the end of it. They gave each other's sweatshirts. Devon's was a little bit grosser. But I think it was just great, fun match, passionate. Genadi, I think, is going to have to focus on more strength, a little technique, something. I don't know what, but something, because Devon, maybe it's just the weight gain, came above and just destroyed. Now, the most back and forth match of the night was Vasily versus Artyom. By far, both were giving 10,000%. I would say one of my favorite matches I've ever watched. They both were just absolutely giving everything, sweating their heads off. Just each of these snapshots you're seeing here, just going insane to give everything they could. Both incredible arm wrestlers. A lot more even of a match. Great sportsmanship. And I think it was just a really, really amazing match. And Vasily, of course, came out on top. And then there was this, I actually haven't seen this yet, but there was a weird Lavon versus Kirill thing that happened that I'm not sure why. I think it was like not a 100% match. I'm going to have to watch it. I don't actually have info on this controversy yet, but I'll probably do another video and go over it. Otherwise, that was, my friends, East versus West 16, and great event. Amazing arm wrestlers. Go right now and support the sport of arm wrestling. Go watch more content from myself, other content creators. Make sure you buy the live stream or buy the recording if you haven't already. Go buy some cards from them. You name it. Support arm wrestling. Love arm wrestling. I'll talk to you guys soon.